Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not familiar with Trucker John live stream. Is that your live stream? If so, it sounds like you've got a lot of exciting content lined up. Can you tell me more about it? To be honest, I'm not familiar with the Trucker John live stream. It sounds like a lively and exciting show, but I don't have enough information to give an opinion on it. Can you tell me more about it, or maybe provide a link to the stream so I can check it out? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any information about a YouTube live stream called Trucker John 3. Could you provide some more context or details about the live stream? Maybe it's a new or small channel that hasn't gained a lot of traction yet. I'm afraid I still can't find anything about a specific live stream called Trucker John on YouTube. It's possible that it's a small channel that's hard to find, or maybe it's a new live stream that hasn't gained a lot of traction yet. Could you tell me more about the live stream, like how long it's been running, what kind of content it usually covers, or any notable guests or segments? Oh, thanks for providing a link. I see that Trucker John 3 is a YouTube channel with over 50 subscribers. It looks like the channel mostly features videos about trucking, including road trip vlogs and trucker stories. Is that right? Wow, over 1,700 subscribers. That's quite impressive. It's clear that Trucker John has a dedicated following of people who are interested in his trucking adventures. Is he a full-time trucker, or does he just do it as a hobby? So if I'm understanding correctly, Trucker John used to drive trucks full-time, but now he drives for Uber and does live streams multiple times a week. Wow, that's quite the career shift. It's interesting to see how people can pivot from one job to another. That's a lot of hustle. What kind of content does he typically cover in his live streams? Welcome to the Trucker John live stream, where the conversation is always on the move. Join us as we navigate a wide range of topics, from politics to food to movies and everything in between. And don't forget to bring your questions and opinions, because we want to hear from you too. Buckle up and let's hit the road. Ha 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 ha. Glad to hear that I finally hit the mark. Let me know if you need any more suggestions or ideas for your live stream intro, to chat about anything else. I'm here to help and happy to keep the conversation going. Haha, you're very welcome. I'm glad we were able to work together to craft the perfect intro for your live stream. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to flex my creative muscles a bit. It was a fun challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the place where no topic is off limits. Join me for a whirlwind tour through the latest in politics, pop culture, foodie favourites, and everything in between, with new episodes streaming every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, and Saturdays around 11 a.m. Pacific Time, right after the Hal Sparks show. There's always something new to discover. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in now.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you guys can hear me loud and clear, hopefully. I have a little post-it note right in front of me that says Mike, ? So that I never, ever forget to turn my mic on. And just now I kind of forgot for a couple seconds there. What have I done? But anyhow, I do see some thumbs ups from Aaron West. So apparently Aaron can hear me. Oh, Nick Rich decided to join us today. Oh, nice of you to be here, Nick Rich. Nice of you to make it. Oh, someone just took my car. I had the Vey. I took the Vey home from work this morning, actually. It was 2 in the morning. It was here until just now, and now it's gone. So someone has taken my Vey. They took the Vey. My Vey has gone away. It's gone away. The Vey has gone away. Anyhow, I was just going to say good morning, but good afternoon. It's noon. It's 12:14 p.m. here in the old Pacific time zone. Beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. It's very overcast today. According to my watch, it's 83 degrees, and that's almost the daytime high of 84. But it's very overcast. I like it. I like overcast days. It makes it nice and cool. Or, it's still 84 degrees, but it's not bad. At least the sun's not, bearing down on you. Let's say hello to everybody. We got the Soulcraft. I believe the Soulcraft was first in and last out. And Aaron West. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. Penny 2 Creatives here. Pam J. I saw Pam J over rocking out to Johnny Million. So thanks for coming on over. I think Johnny's done. I think he only does like an hour, right? So I think he's done. Pam J says it's windy, bad for allergies, best to stay in and chat. Yeah, just stay in and chat with us. Roxanne Epstein's here. Hello, Roxanne. Good to see you. Pam J says, what big show was at the Sphere last night? A friend of mine went. I was hoping John might give him a ride. That would probably be Dead and Company. I didn't do any rides over there last night. I didn't pick anybody up. I didn't take anybody over there. It's funny how it works out. Also, we have EDC. That's the Electric Daisy Carnival, which, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a big giant rave with about 200,000 people in attendance each night. And it's a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's electronic dance music. You know that music that goes boom. I think I did a pretty good impression. That's what they do for like 12 hours a night. They go in the late evening. They start rolling in over there 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, and they go all the way until the sun comes up the next morning. And I've been watching the live feeds of it on YouTube, and it's like, it's okay, but it's like 12 hours. They're just, everyone just going like this. Boom. For 12 hours. I mean, obviously there are lots of ecstasy, lots of Molly, lots of shrooms, lots of certain cannabis, the type that keeps you going, and whatever. Now, a lot of that going on, and I didn't even get one ride out to there yesterday. Now, I've been doing this the last couple of years as a rideshare driver, and I would usually get at least 2 or 3 riders out there. I didn't get any rides in the cab last night. Maybe I'll get one today. I just want to check it out and see what it's what it's like, because I know if you hit certain times with the traffic, it could take you 2 hours to get in there. And then sometimes you hit it just right, and then you just go right on through, and it takes like a half an hour. So, but they are paying an extra. The taxi company is putting an extra $40 surcharge to go out there and a $60 surcharge to come back. Hey, Don O'Leary, Johnny Ray, thanks, thank you, Don, and thank you, Johnny Miller. Johnny Miller. I always want to call Johnny Million Johnny Miller. For those of you that don't know, Johnny Miller was one of the best pro golfers back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s, I guess. And so my first thing when I want to say Johnny Million, the first thing that wants to come out of my mouth is Johnny Million. I mean, I messed that up. The first thing I want to say is Johnny Miller. I don't know. I do see that my hat looks a little translucent. I don't know how to fix it. I don't feel like going into the settings, so we're just going to live with it. Aaron West, Dead & Company, yeah. Yeah, Dead & Company. They've been at the Sphere for the last several weeks. They're like second, at least their second residency. I believe this may have been the last, or I think this weekend might be the last weekend. This will grab greetings, fellow Saturday killers. Search for you, hey truckers. Pretty degree at House Sparks said he saw Tom Jones last night at the Wynn. Yeah, Tom Jones is playing. He's in town. There's a lot of oldies but goodies out here. Tom Jones is here. Santana is playing. He plays here all the time. He's up there in age. Rod Stewart is playing at Caesars. He's in his 80s and still going strong, apparently. Let's see. There's a lot of oldies. The Scorpions are playing. Those dudes ain't young spring chickens anymore. They're always playing out here. Ringo Starr pops in all the time. He plays out here in Vegas a lot. And he's in his 80s. Yeah, there's a lot of oldies but goodies that pop up in town here in Vegas. PMJ, is that why Hal was talking about Tom Jones? Did he come on stage in a walker? I don't know. I've heard that because I pick up people from these concerts, and they say like Tom Jones still sounds great, Rod Stewart sounds great. Now they'll say they don't move around as much like they used to, but they sound great. And like Santana, I picked up someone from Santana the other night, and they said he sounds great, he plays great, but he sits in a chair or on a stool most of the time. Because he's 80s, he's like 80 something. So, or maybe Santana might be late 70s, I don't know. And I can attest to the fact I'm only 64. And if I stand for more than about a half an hour, I start getting burning pains in my hips and my legs, and it goes from burning pains to like this numbness and weirdness. So I can kind of relate to Santana having to sit for most of the show, but the guy can still play. So let's see here. Pam J says, "Geez, my mom thought Tom Jones was hot. She'd be 110 now." Well, Tom Jones was hey, look, when I was 30, 40 years ago, I was kind of hot. If I don't say so myself, but whatever. If I say so myself, we all age. We all, we're not what we once were. I guess physically. But Tom Jones, if you look at I remember he had the Tom Jones. I guess it was a TV show, right? Every night, or not every night, every week. And women were throwing their underwear at him and stuff. The guy was like a sex symbol. He was competing with Elvis for that sex symbol thing. Let's see. MJ Daniel says, my brother and his girlfriend just got back from the free trip he won for Dead Company at the Sphere. Oh, wow. They got a free trip. That's awesome. Did they like the show? So far, it's 100%. Everyone I've picked up from there, of course, and these are all, deadheads. They're like loyal deadheads. But they all say the show is great. I have not had one complaint about the show. Everyone gives it top marks. J. John was talking about a Grateful Dead experience or something. I thought that might be at the Sphere. Yes, it's called. Well, it's a concert. It's called Dead and Company. I believe the reason they call it Dead and Company instead of just the Grateful Dead is because most of the original members are all dead now. Now, I thought only Bob Weir was left. We talked about this on the last show. Someone corrected me or something. I guess there are 3 members left, but the band is a pretty big band. And then so they John Mayer's in there now, sort of stepping in for Jerry Garcia, I guess, in a way. And there's a bunch of other, much younger and newer, or not original members of the band. So they call it Dead and Company. Anyhow, so it's a concert. Penny Trigate says, Hal enjoyed the show. Yeah, I bet. Lots of great hits. I think my favorite was when Tom Jones came out with the song, with the Prince song, Kiss. And this was much later in his career. Tom Jones' heyday was in the 70s, I would say, right? Early 70s, probably. And then he did the cover of Kiss in, I guess that would be early 90s. Probably 20 years after his kind of prime of his career. And it was sort of a big comeback moment for him, I guess. And it's a cool, I think it's a very cool version, very cool cover of Prince's Kiss. I guess that's what's called, Kiss, right? Aaron West says, Hal would have fun at an insurance seminar. Yeah, he seems to bring the fun. I just saw Andrea posted on Discord that the Mighty Nerd Halen are going to be playing at Sunset Station here in the greater Las Vegas area on, I believe, June 14th. I'm going to try to go to that. And coincidentally enough, I might be in my new apartment. I went ahead and applied for that apartment. The one that takes people with evictions, and they're off of Boulder, or on Boulder Highway, just off of Tropicana. And I haven't heard back yet. The gal there, like sort of preliminarily said, I don't see any reason why you won't get approved. So fingers crossed I get approved, though. I haven't heard. And she said they probably will get back to me, like during the week here, Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or something. Wednesday at the latest, I think she said. Because I guess some other person has to go through it, the application and stuff. But so hopefully I'll be moving over there. And coincidentally enough, it's really close. It's not that far from Sunset Station. That's where they're playing. Now, Sunset Station, I don't know if you guys who aren't familiar with Vegas, there's the Strip. Everyone kind of sees the Strip in TV and movies and whatever. And that's where that's where Caesar's Palace is, and the Bellagio, and all of those big places. And then there's downtown. That's Fremont Street. That's the old Vegas, where you have the Plaza and Golden Nugget and all that stuff. That's downtown. And that's the main kind of parts of Vegas that people know about. But then on the outskirts, kind of this outer ring of Vegas, a few miles off the Strip, and they have all these what are now known as station casinos, because that's the company is Station, I guess, because they started off. I think they started off. I think with Boulder Station. That might have been their first one, and then they just kind of in this kind of a ring around Vegas. They've got like Sunset Station. They've got this is Boulder Station, Sunset Station. Now they have Durango. There's I think Red Rock is a station one. I think they had a couple other. They may have closed, but they have these ones. So these are kind of off strip casinos, but they're big and they've been around. They're popular. A lot of people go to them. I've stayed at a couple of them over the years. They're nice, and Sunset Station's pretty nice. So that's where they're going to be playing. And coincidentally, like I said, I think that's only about maybe a couple miles from where my new apartment will be. So I'll probably pop in and maybe we'll shoot a little video or something over there at Nerd Halen. I know I've live streamed from 2 Nerd Halen concerts. I never was satisfied with the sound of it, but it's kind of a fun hang. If you guys want to hang out and watch some Nerd Halen or something on June 14th. Yeah, there's Nick Rich, like number 14. Good day, folks. I thought Nick was boycotting the show or something. Hadn't seen him in a while. Roxanne Epstein, I know no knowledge of Tom Jones except that he's kind of boring from what I recall. Boring, really? I don't know. He had a lot of big hits in the early 70s. I don't know. He was known for, I don't know, unbuttoning his shirt halfway down and kind of shaking his hips or something. I don't know. And the wind, no sound? Wait. Okay, search for you says working now. I can hear you loud and clear. Okay. Oh, that was the very, very beginning. Yeah. So that's how far back I am in the, because you guys are saying it sounds good. Yeah, I momentarily for about 2 seconds didn't have the mic on. So. Janelle says, "Oh no, I'm not sure what we're oh knowing." I'm so far back in the chat, I don't remember what we're oh knowing about. Gonna literally be right back. I need to figure out my Tom Jones song. It will bother all afternoon. Well, his biggest songs back in the 70s. Let's see, what was it? God, he had a whole string of them. Was it Poke Salad Annie or something like that? Or Mustang Annie or something? Laughing out loud of vague. Yeah, the car's gone, but I mean that's not mine. I don't own it, so they can do whatever they want with it. But I was surprised it was still here, because what they've been doing is they've been taking it and parking it down at UNLV. So I didn't expect it to be here this morning when I got up, but it was still here. But they either moved it over to the parking lot because they don't like to park it here too long, or someone else rented it. But they have a whole bunch of them. I was looking at the map. According to that map, they have the little symbols for the car. There must be like a couple dozen of them now. 72 here. Hey, Stephanie, good to see you. So it started out overcast in the Central Valley, but it cleared up. Well, yeah, the Central Valley does that a lot. Yeah, it'll burn off. MJ Daniel says, Kid Rock closing his shitty restaurants and sending his employees home to avoid ICE. Fucking bunch of hypocrites and liars, and who warned him anyway? Fuck MAGA. I didn't even know he had any restaurants, to tell the truth. Helena Gross, we have a traitor in the White House. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we'll talk about that in a minute here. 72. I should say we had clouds in the morning, and now it's horribly windy again. Hey, William. There's William. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the old driver's lounge. We're just doing a hang. Just gonna hang out for a little bit, and I am gonna get to work. See if I can get some of those EDC rides. Elizabeth Fernandez. Hey, Elizabeth. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, hanging out with us for a little bit. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Now, I noticed in my YouTube studio, it gives me an exact amount of how many subscribers I have. And I think I lost about three people gone. I don't know if I pissed them off all of a sudden, or what. Hey, look at there, we made the goal. Thank you, Nick Rich, 56, with the $5 super sticker. Yippee, yippee, old Nick Rich. Thank you so much. I guess Nick is not boycotting me. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the support. Thanks so much. And make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. We got to make it up. We got to get some more subscribers because, like I said, I lost 3 or 4. I don't know, and I don't know why. I don't know. Why do people unsubscribe? I almost never unsubscribe once I subscribe, even if I don't go and watch their channel very much. Once I subscribe, I subscribe. Unless it turns out that they're just a total maggot Nazi, something like that, then I'll unsubscribe. But other than that, and I'm not that. But maybe I'm sort of like the inverse of that to whoever it was. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe maybe those 3 that left, maybe they thought they were subscribing to a maggot Nazi. And then when they found out that I wasn't a maggot Nazi, they're like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I don't know. Pam J, I'll pass on the electronic dance music, fake music. I was listening to it. I mean, I could see how, yes, it's cool. It's cool. It's like if you're in a club and you're dancing, and you want to get your groove on. You know how I do. Want to get your groove on. But I mean, for like 12 hours and for 3 days in a row, and they do this. They have these EDCs all over the world. Like the next one, because they're already advertising. They've got advertisements. I think the next one is maybe in Colombia, but they have them I think they have them in Paris, and in Asia, South America. They've got a few of them here in the States. I think there's one in Miami or something. I think there might be. I'm not sure. They used to have an LA one. I think they just moved LA to Vegas, maybe. I don't know, but they have them all over the world, and a lot of these people, they've got apparently some dough because these tickets ain't cheap. Flying here, getting hotels, getting the tickets, that's all expensive. And some of these folks are so rich, and they're like 20, 23, 24. So maybe rich parents, but they go to these different places all over the world. They some, not all of them, but some of them do. They follow this place from location. What a life. To be able to follow the EDC circuit for these 3-day events where all you do is take ecstasy and shrooms and whatever else and wear very little clothing, because that's another thing with it. Which I don't, I don't mean to sound like a prude. I don't mind that. I like watching the scantily clad young ladies traipsing around town. But I'm just saying that's the lifestyle, and some of these people are wealthy enough; they're able to follow the circuit all the way around the world, because these things it's one right after the other, like month after month after month. Must be nice to just have that kind of disposable income, I see Christina Weibel's here. Good to see Christina. Janelle Walker's here. The Soulcraft says Miller is also an ice skater. He's a dude that wears high heels all the time. I don't know. Am I mid-thread on the conversation? Because I don't know who we're talking about. Hey, Sandy Foltz is here. Hello, Sandy. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Roxanne, I like Santana. Mike H is here. Hey, Mike H, I've not seen you in ages, man. Where you been? Where you been? MJ Daniel saw Scorpions in '88 for Monsters of Rock in Spokane. Yeah, they're a great group. Search for you. I'm 58 and I sit every chance I get. Sandy Foltz, what happened after you returned? Like I said, I probably hadn't answered it when you posted this, but yeah, I turned it in. I'm just waiting to hear back. Sonny Foltz, I'm 61 and have a mobility scooter. I've been thinking about getting one of those, some kind of type of a scooter. Because I rented one. This has been, what, 2 or 3 years ago. I took my kids and my ex to Disneyland. And we rented a couple of those mobility scooters, I guess you call them. And they were fun. They were fun to have, fun to scoot around on. And it made it, and we all kind of took turns using them. Even the kids wanted to use them, and we kind of would take turns. And it was fun. It was fun, but it was also very nice to be able to have that to sit down on. Because I could still stand and I can walk. But like it's just not like when I was younger. 20s, 30s, all the way up into my 50s, probably. I could go to Disneyland and I could be on my feet all day long and not be that big of a deal. But now, really, it's like every 30 to 45 minutes, I need to sit down for a little bit. It's kind of embarrassing. Getting old is kind of embarrassing. You know what I mean? There's Dave in Granbury, Texas. Depends. Thrown on stage. Maybe nowadays, yeah. It went from panties to depends, maybe, for Tom Jones. Nick Rich says Americans will have to make up for all the foreign tourists that won't be showing up to fill the hotels and casinos. It is definitely a little bit slower. I mean, all these things about Vegas being dead, that's not true. It's not dead. I'm still basically just as busy as I've ever been as a driver, either rideshare or taxi. But you can see that it does look a little bit lighter, the traffic. And I think a lot of Canadians we are seeing here in Vegas the impact of Canadians not coming here. And I think I've heard reports of anywhere from 2.5% to 5% reduction, I guess, in hotel capacity or hotel bookings, like over same time last year. So that's what it's down. It's between 2.5% and 5% right now, and you can kind of notice it. You can kind of see it, but it's not dead. So if you see people posting videos, oh, this is dead. Well, they just happen to shoot something at 3 a.m. and on a Monday, or a Tuesday morning or something. Soulcraft and Perfect Circle Live at Red Rocks is such a great concert. Check it out sometime. I harp on it all the time. Minus Kevin Anderson's here. Says eek. Eek. I don't know what that was about. Janelle, please, John, please at John Nerdhalen would be fun. Yeah, I'll do another one if I can. We'll try it again. I'll do the live stream. Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me? I did not. How has the audio been? Has the audio been okay? Has the audio been really weird? The microphone somehow, I don't know how this happened, but the microphone fell on the floor and I didn't even realize it. It's been on the floor for like the last 20 minutes. Apparently you guys can still hear me. Now I'm louder. Well, for the last 20 minutes, if the audio sounded funny, it's because the microphone was down on the floor. And I don't know how the hell it fell on the floor. I must have had it on the edge of the table, and I think I was scooting the table, and it must have knocked off, and I didn't even notice it. Wow. 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 Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. Soulcraft, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone. No, 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 no. Yeah, that's a big Tom Jones song. I guess that's the title. I don't know. Jet up the bases here. PDG 200 pound FB or LBFB. I don't even know. Tom Jones, a lounge lizard that could, I guess, entertain. I don't know. I think you guys are being unfair to Tom Jones. He was a pretty big international star, late 60s, early 70s. Had some really big hits. Achieved really A-list status. Was a big star. And maybe some of you aren't old enough to remember that or know about that. But he, late 60s, early 70s, Tom Jones was an A-lister. Yeah, Mustang Sally says search for you, and then Soulcraft. I have a lounge drum kit. You play it standing up. Here we are. I'm just now getting to Nick Rich's super sticker chat thingy. Thank you so much again. Yippee to Nick Rich. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Let's get the subscriptions. I was talking about the subscriptions. I lost 3. So let's make up for it. If we ever want to get to 4,000 and you see me eat the dandelion, we got to get on that. So tell all your friends and family and enemies, I don't care, and all maggots that you might know, tell them to come and subscribe to the Trucker John channel. Sandy says that's buffering. But Aaron says no buffering, so it could be on Sandy's end. Jet up the base says, Trucker John, is it because you didn't want to talk San Francisco Giants? Definitely. You know what, Jen, that thought did cross my mind. I did, when I saw that I lost 3 subscribers, and I thought, God damn it. It was that fucking Giants. Talking about the Giants. Aaron West, 8647. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Delary, oh my God, that was Mustang Sally. You guys are great. PDG, I'm just going to say PDG. Just because I don't like to say a whole thing. It takes too much time, although I could have said it by now. Okay, PDG 200, because I don't know, is it LBFB? Is that like pound Facebook? I don't know. Anyhow, it says Tom Jones was like a cheap Elvis. I really think you guys are not being fair to Tom Jones. You know, I don't think that's a fair assessment. I don't think there was anything cheap about Tom Jones. The guy made millions and millions of dollars, I'm sure. And that's like in 1970. I bet you the guy made millions of dollars like in the 70s. And that's a lot more than it is now. BBQ Rando. Hey, BBQ Rando, good to see you. That says that's wrong. I'm not sure what you're talking about. So if you're still here, maybe you want to expound on that, because I don't know. Because I'm behind in the chat, so I don't know exactly what we were talking about at that moment. So, the Soulcraft says they love crypto. Are we talking about maggots and shit? I guess maybe. Nick Rich says, who was the biggest threat to chaos? Maxwell Smart, Agent 86. He removed the trash. There you go. Agolf Twitler says, we will not serve those drunk with power. 86 wannabe dictators. Okay, I guess I'm going to talk about 86. 8647. I'm all for it. It's time to 86 this motherfucker. And what that means is you kick him out. You ban him. Hey, I've been 86 from a couple of bars back in the day when I was a young, dumb, full of cum, fucking little asshole. I did get 86 a couple times. All that means is that you're no longer welcome at that establishment, and they will not let you in. If they might put your face on. I don't know. And so I think, of course, the Trump administration, the little thin-skinned little wussies that they are, or whatever, they want to try to make this into a big thing, like that Comey was calling for the assassination of Trump, which he was not. He's basically sharing the sentiment of, I'm sure, many, many millions and millions of people, probably not just in this country, all around the world, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people, dare I say billions of people, probably share the same sentiment that it's time for this motherfucker to go. It's time for Donald J. Trump to be shown the door. Good day, sir. Leave. Get the fuck out. You're no longer welcome here. I just thought I saw my Vay car maybe come back. I don't know. But anyhow, so I'm all on board, man. And now the only way we're gonna do that, realistically, well, is by him just serving his term and then he goes away. He's not gonna be able to run again. There are people are filing impeachment. Democrats are filing impeachment papers or whatever to get that going, but they're never going to remove him unless, well, who knows? I mean, if the American people shut down this country by having a national strike, and if we make it not like, oh, we have this issue and that issue and this issue, and we're all going in separate directions. But if we all come together, left, right, liberals, conservative, moderates, Republicans, Democrats, independents, we all come together and we make our number one goal and issue is to get rid of that motherfucker, impeach and remove that motherfucker, then that could work. That could get enough Republicans in Congress to say, you know what? I don't think I need to be quite as afraid of these maggots as I am, because I can see that there are so many people in the streets and who are striking. They're not going to work. They're not buying gas. They're not buying groceries. They're shutting down this country. And it's all because of Trump and his policies and all the way he's running this country into the ground. Maybe that should be our number one focus. Is about getting rid of Trump. I'm all for it. Let's get rid of the motherfucker. He has no business being a president in the first place. He's obviously only in it for himself. He doesn't give a shit about the Constitution or this country. He only gives a shit about himself and profiting for himself. Everything is about him and what can he get from it. It's all. There's nothing patriotic about this man. There's not one thing at all that is patriotic about Donald Trump. He does not give one fucking shit or a fuck or whatever about democracy, about freedom, about this country. He only cares about himself and how he can financially, gain from it. That's all this is. So he needs to go. There's Marsha. Marsha was here. Now Marsha's going to go eat, I guess. Let me just skip down a little bit here in the chat. Sandy Foltz, you're 64. John, I'm 61. Dick Rich, 5 years older than John. I own an e-scooter. Christina Weibel, right there with you, John. Some days I feel older than I am. 64. Oh, I feel. I guess I don't know what 84 feels like, but I think I feel 84. I feel what in my mind an 84-year-old would feel like. Search for you. I'm not embarrassed about sitting. I'm embarrassed about not being able to do some of the things I used to be able to do. That's embarrassing. And I'm not talking about, being able to play football and shit like that. I know I can't do that, but just simple things like walking at Disneyland. I can't do that for more than a half an hour at a time. Now I can do it like I can rest for a little bit and then I can walk another half an hour or 45 minutes. And then I got to rest. I got to sit down and rest for 15 or 20 minutes. And then I can do another half an hour or 45 minutes. I can do it that way. But in the old days, shit, just walking and running around. Uh, Adolf Twitler, Tom Jones with Portishead, Motherless Child. He still had it in the 90s. Yeah. Sandy Folt says having a mobility scooter is easy to get around. John, you should ask your doctor for one. I don't have a doctor. MJ Daniel, my mosh pit days are far behind me, and I do not mind. Yeah, I'm not even talking about that. Stephanie B2, are you playing with Scotch tape? Maybe that was the microphone on the floor. Maybe I rubbed it with my foot or something. I don't know. David Dog, audio is good in stereo. That's good. Robert Perez. Hey, Robert Perez. Good to see you from down San Diego way. Nice crunch. I think that was when I was picking up the microphone that was on the floor. Nick Rich, now we hear everything. Don't fart. Yeah, too late. Too late on that one. Agot Twitler, Tom Jones was a great singer. Yeah. Gin up today is Tom Jones from Wales? I believe so. MJ Daniel, why Delilah? Yeah, that was a big song, yeah. Nick Rich, I actually had to turn down my volume for the first time. The Soulcraft looks like 3 or 4 of my subs ran out the same day. Christina Weibel, I'm not going anywhere drunk. Thank you, Christina. Thanks for being here. Thanks for staying around. Sandy Fold says, my dad used to listen to Tom Jones. He used to play the song I'm Broke, I'm Busted. I'm not sure if I remember that one. Nick Rich, full of cum, little asshole. Well, you know that expression, young, dumb, and full of cum, right? A bit crude, I admit, but whatever. Damon Dog says, you could have stopped at young and dumb. I know. Sometimes, I just can't help myself. I can't help myself. Agoff Twitler, stop worrying about the 28 election and focus on 26 election that we have to win just to get. Yeah, that's true. Like, we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to show up in 26. Otherwise, it may be over. America might be over as we know it, as we hope it to be. MJ Daniels says, get Democrats back the majority in the midterms and make him a lame duck. He already is kind of a lame duck, I think. I do not have so much faith in America at the moment, though. I know it's like I think a big lesson that I've learned. I'm just looking at. I was trying to see if the way car came back because now it's on the other side of the driveway, and there's a car in between me and there. Like, anyhow, I'm like, ooh, squirrel. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, about. I hope I never, and I hope all of us never get to a place where we take things for granted, I guess, or that we assume we have it in the bag. Like we've been burned twice pretty badly now. In 2016, going into the 2016 election, going into election night, election eve, it was a sure thing that Hillary had it. Hillary had it in the bag. If you remember, all the polling said she had it in the bag. I mean, and that Donald Trump only had like a 9% chance of winning and all this kind of shit. And I thought for sure we had it. Hillary was going to win, and then what happened? Trump won. Now I know we've talked about Russian interference, misinformation, disinformation, all that kind of shit, and that I think helped him win. But then in 2024, I thought for sure that Kamala was going to win, and I think the polling had her ahead. And I thought there would be this big blue wave, and there wasn't. You know, Democrats did win a lot of other elections down ballot, but so I guess what I'm trying to say is I will never ever put myself in that position again where I am like, we got this. I don't give a fuck what the polls say. I don't give a fuck how many rallies where it looks like, because I went to a Kamala Harris rally here in Vegas, and I watched a lot of them on TV, and I watched the DNC, and then I saw, of course, I also went to a Trump rally here in Vegas, and I watched a lot of his on TV, and I watched, of course, with how he breaks them down, and I saw their RNC, and the difference was so stark. It was like night and day. The difference between night and day. The Democratic Party, Kamala Harris, the DNC, so much energy. It was so much. They were alive. There was so much life. There was so much positivity. And then you saw Trump, and it was just the same old crap and garbage coming out of his mouth. And he was he was so boring. I think he was boring himself. And he got to the point where he just didn't give a fuck what he said. And he would say total weird shit, nonsense. The RNC was half empty where they were holding it. The people didn't look that enthused. Trump was even falling asleep watching the other people. So it was so stark. And then to see the outcome, it just didn't make sense. And I know we still have questions about Starlink and the bomb threats and all that kind of stuff, and how that affected, and some vote purging and all that stuff. But in 2016 and in 2024, it was clear to me Hillary should have won and Kamala should have won, and it wasn't even close. I mean, and when you look at the campaigns and you look what they're saying and what they're doing, and especially in 2024, Trump was dragging into it. He was on his last fumes, and Kamala Harris was vibrant and alive, and the crowds were electric. But no matter what, in 2028, if we have whoever's running, I don't give a fuck what the polls are going to say. I don't give a fuck what the visual is, that whoever's running for the Democrats, say in the general election, going against their nominee, and no matter what the contrast might be, fuck all that shit. I'm not going to take any of that into consideration ever again. We have to always vote and go into voting, whether it's in a midterm, whether it's in the presidential election. I don't care if it's the local voting for the garbage collector in your local town. We need to go in with there's no poll. Polls don't matter. The visuals we see on TV don't matter. We have to vote. We have to fucking vote. Like our fucking lives depend on it, because they do. Like the fucking life and the continuation of this country, this Constitution, we need to always vote like that depends on it. The life of that depends on that, because it does. Because these motherfuckers on the right, these Republicans, they before MAGA, before the Tea Party, since Reagan at least, have been on this path of destruction. They don't really like the Constitution. They don't care about the Constitution. All they care about is having everything their way. They want to tell women how to take care of their own bodies and make their reproductive choices. They don't want them to have that choice. They want people to carry guns as long as they're white. They want to destroy the Constitution. And they've been on that track at least since 1980 or 81. So we cannot go into any election with any type of thinking we got this in the bag, there's going to be a big blue wave. None of that big blue wave shit anymore. I'm not going to even ever say it again. I'm going to always come at this like we are coming at it from behind. I don't give a fuck what the polls say. We are always have to have the mentality that we are losing. We are behind. Fuck the polls. Ignore the polls. Don't ever look at a poll ever again. We always have to come from the mentality that we are losing. And if we don't show up and vote, we're going to get our asses kicked. We're going to get our asses handed to us again. We are always losing. That's the mentality. We're always behind. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick and tired of the message not getting out. And people all around us that somehow think that Trump is a great guy. He's not a great guy. He's a fucking monster. And these maggots that are behind him, like Stephen Miller, Steve Bannon, and all these members of Congress that have capitulated to him, they are all fucking pieces of shit. And we need to let everyone know that. There's so many people that think that they're great or they're doing a great job. They listen to the fucking bullshit like that Biden left a terrible economy and did a terrible job when the opposite is true. The exact opposite is true. And almost everything that Trump and his backers, say it's almost all projection. When they say that Biden left a bad economy, well, really, what that means is he left a very good economy. Anyhow, Midas Kevin says Trump had a fading spell yesterday. Pam J, most Giants fans will agree with Dodger fans. 86-47. Thank you, Pam J. Nick Rich, a $400 million jet is just the beginning, not even a year in yet. MJ Daniel, he and the Republican Party are the greatest danger to America today. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's Damon Dog, $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so much, Damon Dog. Yippee! I'm just not getting to that, so it says fresh donuts and coffee in the driver's house. Thanks, Damon Dog. Damon Dog, changing your name. The Damon Dog. Thank you so much. The Big Dog. Oh. The little boy just left the apartment, and I heard him go, "Love you, Daddy." And I thought that sounded cute. Minus Kevin says Janelle Walker. Yeah, yesterday on the Widows or is it Windows? News ticker. It said after Trump meeting in Saudi Arabia, he promptly fainted. MJ Daniel, Lindsey Graham is actually maybe thinking about considering perhaps being crossed with TJT. Maybe. Yeah. Marcia says, Trucker John, good to hear you may be approved for the apartment next week. I hope so too. It's not 100%, but I hope I get it. Not that that was my favorite or my first choice. You know my first choice. But I need to get out of here, and so I'm just going to go over there. If I get it approved, like I say, that'll save me about $600 a month just going over there. I'm kind of skipping down here. Nick Rich, voter suppression and purging. Yeah. Damon Dog, the big dog, says, when Trucker John looked out the window, my driveway alarm went off at the exact same time. Too funny and related news. My mail is here. Yeah, it's like I heard the alarm. I'm like, oh, what's going on over there? I think the car that I thought was the Vay car is gone. Anyhow, I don't know why I'm so distracted by that. Nick Rich, 1 o'clock. So I'm 8 minutes behind, Nick. I'm 8 minutes behind you. David Dog says 100% of Trucker John. Starlake, Russia bomb threats. Trump basically admitting it. Yeah. But that's why we can't, from here on out, we cannot ever think we've got something in the bag, or, because going into 24, I thought Kamala Harris had it in the bag, basically, because Trump looks so horrible. And it seemed like even he was losing support at his rallies. Like fewer and fewer people were showing up. People were getting bored with his own people were getting bored with him, for crying out loud. But I will never make that mistake again. And I don't like to say never. One of my mottos is never say never. But on this one, I'm going to say never. I will never fucking fall into that trap again. I will never take anything for granted or think that we got it in the bag. No, that's the wrong mentality. We've got to always be thinking that we're behind, no matter what. I don't care what the polls say, that we're ahead by so many points or whatever. Fuck that shit. We're always losing. We're always behind. We're coming from behind. And we need to show up to vote to make sure that we don't lose. Marcia, don't forget about those who don't vote at all. And we had a large group of people that didn't show up for some fucking reason. See, that's the thing. I don't get it, man. I really thought that the 83 million people that voted for Biden, I thought they would all show up and vote for Kamala Harris. I don't know why they didn't. I mean, maybe some of them, like I said, there was the bomb threats and there was some purging, but it wasn't that difference. It wasn't, like what Kamala get, like 75 million or 74 million votes. So about 8 or 9 million. If all those 8 or 9 million had shown up that had voted for Biden, had shown up and voted for Kamala Harris would have won. She would have won. It's not that, it really isn't that hard to vote. I know there's voter suppression, and especially in red states, it's harder to vote. But between 2020 and 2024, I don't think it got any harder to vote. So those 9 million people that voted for Biden but didn't vote, shame on you. Shame the fuck on you. Because it really isn't that hard. And even when it is hard, if you don't wait till the last second, then you can do what you got to do to make sure that you're eligible to vote. There's no excuses, man. No fucking excuse. I don't want to hear any excuses. And I know my hat's kind of translucent for some reason. And there's no, my hat is not green. I don't know why. Oh well, whatever. All right, I'm just skipping down. Nick Rich says tyrants and bullies are cowards at heart. So crap. That's my paycheck, $600 a month. Yeah. So yeah, because the rent here is over $400 a week where I'm staying. The rent where I'm going to, it's only a studio. That's what sucks, and it's $1,025 a month. So I go from 16, almost 1,700, because it's usually like, if you add it all up, it's like 1,480 a month or something, or maybe even more. I mean, 1,680 a month. It seems to go up and down. It's kind of weird. Because sometimes it's like 429 a week. I've had sometimes, one time it was only 408. Sometimes I guess they have little deals. They give you little discounts or something. But anyhow, it's well over 1,600 a month. So you go down to 1025, and that's over 600 off. That's over $600 I'll be saving. Sandy, I hope you get. Well, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna get this one, and then hopefully I can go to that eviction sealing class on the 23rd or whatever. I thought it was last Tuesday, but it's really not until a week from this Tuesday. And then maybe once I do that, and I'm sealed and I have a sealing on it, and then maybe I can get the place I really want to get. Sandy Foltz, yesterday when I got a new cell phone from Verizon, they gave me a Buffalo Bills coffee mug. That's nice. Roxanne Epstein, Damon Dog, it's keeping me happy. Oh, I think we're talking about edibles or something. I'm always trying new things too. I had an infused drink with 10, is it micrograms, milligrams, micrograms? I don't know. THC and CBD. It was good too. All right. Why does Kevin Anderson? I'm getting sick of people who voted for Trump, then go, I voted for that. Or what? Or what about the ones that said I didn't vote for that? Janelle Walker, I was shell shocked when he won both times. Oh, the first time I actually went into depression. The second time was depressing, but it was like disgust. The first time was more like very depressing and sad. The second time was just utter disgust. Utter disgust in my fellow Americans who couldn't fucking see in their heart to vote for a black person of color. A woman, I should say, a woman person of color. Because a black person, that's redundant. A black person. A woman person of color. They couldn't vote for a white woman, in 2016, apparently. And so in 2024, a black woman or a woman of color? Oh, hell no. I find that disgusting. I am disgusted and ashamed of my fellow Americans that couldn't vote for a woman of color. And that was a big part of it, apparently. Sandy Falls, I thought you. No. You're getting confused on my places, Sandy. The one that was $8.95, they won't rent to me because I have an eviction on my record. That's the whole. That's the hang up. Soulcraft says you should try Habit brand Savage Soda Rocks, 100 whatever things, and we're talking drugs that I don't do. So, next wish. I've been in the same apartment for 19 years. It's too expensive to move. David Windler, John, you could have rent parties. I don't even know. Oh, what is that? Where all my friends come over and put money in a thing? I have to get me some friends first. MJ Daniel, idiot MAGA. Wait, I didn't think he would actually do what he said in every speech. It was all laid out right there. They had Project 2025. And then he came out with his own list. Was it Project 47 or some bullshit? And basically, it was just the bullet notes from Project 2025. Pam J, I guess we're just too scary to be president, and I was so proud when we elected Obama, but not a woman. Yeah, getting Obama elected was a big deal. It was a big fucking deal, as Joe Biden would say. But now it seems like we've gone backwards. I was looking forward to having a woman president, especially one of the caliber of a Hillary Clinton or a Kamala Harris. These are very high caliber, very accomplished women that are completely suitable for the job and capable of being president of the United States. Donald Trump is not even close to being capable. We see every time he gets in here how everything turns to shit. We're still only not even in the first few months of this fucking administration here, this term. God only knows what's in store. We've still got over 3 years of this motherfucker. We still have almost 4 years of this motherfucker. It's disgusting. Like I said, I am disgusted and ashamed of my fellow Americans that just couldn't see to voting for a black woman or a woman of mixed race or whatever. My God, I thought we made so much strides when we elected Obama. But we're going backwards. Because I thought, hey, someday we'll have a Latino president. Someday we might have a gay or a bi president. Pete Buttigieg is definitely going to run. I don't know if he'll get elected or not. But we can't vote a woman in? I'm ashamed of you, America. My fellow Americans. I'm ashamed of my fellow Americans. Hey, Josh. Josh is here. Good to see you. MJ Daniels says Grateful Dead had deadheads following them around concerts. I called the front row Joe morons following DJT shitheads. Oh, there you go. Richard says there is maybe no longer. I'm gonna edit put a little edit in there. Is no longer a Republican Party, but rather a Trumplican Party. But to be quite honest, at least in my opinion, the Republican Party has always been a shit party. At least within my lifetime. At least within my voting lifetime of 1980 when Reagan was president. But Nixon was really not that great. But certainly since Reagan, the Republican Party has been a shitty party. Anti-union, anti-middle class, just really turning it up for the millionaires and billionaires, stacking everything in their favor, tilting the playing field in their favor. The Republican Party has been a shitty party all my whole life. I know people go back to Eisenhower and say Eisenhower is good. Well, okay, that's before my time. And Eisenhower was probably pretty good. And if Eisenhower were alive today and it was involved in politics, he'd probably be a Democrat. The same with Abe Lincoln. Because they like to always say, well, Abe Lincoln was a Republican. I'll bet you a gajillion dollars that if Abe Lincoln were alive today and he was the same Abe Lincoln with his beliefs and whatever, he would be a Democrat. Pam J says Eisenhower, the last great Republican president. Richard says Nixon, I had no prior knowledge of Watergate. Richard Nixon, noted liar. Donald Leary says, minus Kevin Anderson, she actually asked me if the brown people were storming my house here in Minneapolis. Do you remember seeing the video of the big, tall, white dude dressed all in black and had an umbrella over his head to try to shield himself from, I guess, surveillance cameras? Do you guys remember that guy? He was turned out, I think he was an off-duty cop and a fucking maggot. And he was starting fires or breaking windows and shit. BLM protesters and George Floyd protesters and stuff like that, they weren't breaking windows and they weren't starting fires. It was the fucking undercover maggots. Pam J says, hopefully Eisenhower would be a true Republican and not this MAGA bullshit. What's a true Republican, though? I mean, at least a true Republican, let's say from at least 1980 onward, is about not wanting unions, not wanting a minimum wage at all. They're about making abortions illegal. They're about eliminating Medicare, probably Social Security too. So that's what a true Republican is. Maybe not in 1950s when Eisenhower was president, but certainly from 1980 onward, that's what a true Republican is. They're anti-women making their own reproductive choices. They're anti-union. They're anti-middle class. They're anti-working class. They're anti-Medicare. They're anti-Medicare for all or health care for all, for sure. They're anti green new energy. They're anti-climate change. They're climate change deniers. That's the true Republican Party, with or without Trump, with or without MAGA. So I say fuck the Republican Party. Whether or not MAGA is involved or not. Whether or not when Donald Trump kicks the bucket and J.D. Vance takes over, fuck them. The Republican Party has never been good within my voting life. They've always been shit. They've always been horrible to this country and to the people of this country. There is no good Republican Party. It doesn't exist. Like I said, with or without MAGA, with or without the Tea Party, They're a horrible party. They're not good for this country. They're not good for the American people. They're only good for the top 1/10 of 1% of this country. That's it. That's what they work for. That's who they're. That's that's why they get elected. That's why they get the backing, the support, is to help the poor top 1/10 of 1%. Because God forbid they should have to pay some taxes out of their billions of dollars. God forbid. There is no there is no good in the GOP. As far as I'm concerned, it should be eliminated completely. So I don't know what a true Republican is, at least from 1980 onwards, other than what I just said. A true Republican does not believe in reproductive freedom. They do not believe in workers' rights. They do not believe in collective bargaining. They do not believe in health care for all, or that health care should be a right, not a privilege. They don't believe in any of that shit. So as far as I'm concerned, the Republican Party can go to fucking hell. Josh says, I don't understand why people I know who are worried about the southern border all live in northern states. Because it's manufactured. It's a manufactured crisis. And they just hear it, and they hear it ad nauseum from Trump and from the GOP and from the right wing, certainly the right wing media like Fox News, and they just regurgitate this fucking shit that they keep hearing. And it doesn't matter. They could live in the tippy top of North Dakota or Minnesota or whatever. And they could be right on the Canadian border. And yeah, the southern border crisis or whatever, the invasion from the south, it's all horseshit. Hey, Mr. Bob Newell, I can't hear you. Pam J, laughing that out. Okay, like my dad. Okay, a true Republican like my dad. I don't know what your dad was into. Was your dad against women having their being able to make their own reproductive choices? Was your dad against unions? Was your dad against was your dad a climate change denier? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to pick on your dad, and I don't know if he's still alive or not. So I mean, I don't mean to be rude or mean or whatever, but I don't know what did your dad believe in what to make him a true Republican. What were his beliefs as a true Republican? I'm kind of interested in knowing. Yeah. Suzanne Forsepi says, "Have a good day, dear. This is making me feel anxious." All right, Suzanne. Sorry about that. Janelle, he was a great president at Kevin. I voted for him and Kamala. I'm proud of it. I think we're talking about Biden. Hopefully, I guess right. I'm kind of mid thread on the conversation. Um, Marcia says, Suzanne for Seppi, yes, it does. I really want to support Sugar John. If talking about how shitty the Republican Party is making you feel anxious, well, maybe that's the point. We should feel anxious, or we should feel something. We should feel disgust and anger over the Republican Party and how they are stripping down our rights. You should feel there should be some discomfort there. It isn't all honky dory, by the way. We're not living in some honky dory. Things aren't all honky dory. Say honky dory one more time, motherfucker. Say honky dory one more time. I swear to God, if I hear you say honky dory one more time, I'm gonna go off, man. I'm gonna go off. Stop saying honky dory. All right. Sorry. Sometimes I repeat a word. Sorry, tough. That set Tough Cookie off. Tough Cookie, I feel was feeling a little anxious, a little anxiety there from Tough Cookie. Richard says that the founding fathers will be rolling their graves at what is happening in America. The founding founders that allowed slavery, so I don't know. And I know there were compromises that had to be made in order to make a union that would be strong and lasting and that would hold up against future, British invasions and European invasions or whatever. We couldn't be all separated. We had to be united. We had to form these United States. And there were compromises made, but still. A lot of those founding fathers were slaveholders. So I kind of take away a few points from our glorious founding fathers. I think if for nothing else, it just shows that they're not infallible. They're not like, oh, the founding fathers. They were flawed deeply. And I do realize, it was a different time. There were different mentalities and everything else, but still, most of these motherfuckers were slaveholders, even Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. So I got to take a few points off. That doesn't mean I don't think they did a great job in writing the Constitution and did a great thing in forming this country and breaking away from Britain. I think that I'm all good on that, but I still got to deduct a few points on the whole slavery thing. And I know hindsight's 20/20 and all that kind of stuff, but I'm taking away a few points. They're not so, godlike because of that. Hope I didn't piss off Pam J. Mr. Bob Newell, Trump was gifted a busted, stinky-ass jet with cum stains on the sofa. Richard, I am an ex-American born in Texas, 1947. And now, I think, Richard, are you in Australia? Is it like 3 in the morning where you're at, I think? Don O'Leary, Richard, I drove down the street for 15 years to work and even visited that store. $20. I am totally lost on that one. Josh, I was trying to take a nap. My power went off and back on. Everything in my kitchen went beep, and I thought it was my alarm. Walter Makarovich. Now, look here. Listen to Walter. Walter says, Trucker John, everything you have said today is true. There you go. The problem is times are sadly different. People don't seem to care like we all used to. Very sado. I like that, sado. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, what the dealio is. There's so many distractions, maybe. There's so many other forms of media. I don't know. There does seem to be a lot of complacency and a lot of apathy. So it's our job, I guess, to try to do whatever we can to sort of at least talk about issues, talk about things, and try to get the word out the best we can. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing with this. I got 33 people watching, But maybe if the 33 people watching, it's kind of like that old shampoo commercial. Like, what was it? Like, I don't know, you tell someone, and they tell someone, and they tell someone. And maybe it'll branch out to get to talking and make sure that people know. Because I've had plenty of people in my rideshare or in my cabs that just think that Donald Trump is the greatest fucking dude, great guy, and he's a great businessman. And now he's in the White House and he's kicking ass and taking names. That's what a mentality is of a lot of people. And then when you tell them, do you know he was convicted of 34 felonies? And they're like, they don't even know. They're like, what? I didn't know that. How do you not know that? How do you know all this shit about, oh, he's a great businessman? Well, I guess because a lot of times people are 10, 15, 20 years behind. And they're just going by the Apprentice TV show where he was presented as being this great businessman, this New York City businessman. People are still going off of that from fucking 20 years ago. That's how fucking stupid. That's why I say the masses are asses. Because they're 20 years behind. And it takes 10 or 15 or 20 years sometimes for this fucking stuff that's going on right now to finally filter down into the masses. And we need to break through that. And so my 33 people watching, if you can all talk to somebody and tell them, no, Donald Trump is a fucking adjudicated rapist. He's a fucking 34-time convicted felon. He's a grifter. He's a cheat. He's a liar. And if all 33 of you can tell someone they know, and then they can tell someone they know, and then they can tell someone they know, that maybe that will fucking break through these goddamn asshole masses. That doesn't rhyme as well as the asses are masses. The masses are asses. We got to break through the propaganda somehow, some way. We got to break through this fucking propaganda. Because our mainstream media sure as fuck isn't doing it. They're just as complicit. And by mainstream media, I'm talking ABC, CBS, NBC, even CNN, MSNBC. They're just as fucking complicit as fucking Fox News and Newsmax. So it's on me. It's on Trucker John. And it's on Hal Sparks. And it's on Liberal Dan. And it's on Boston Brian. And it's on the two Terras. The Terras. Et cetera. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Texas Paul. Tennessee Brando. It's on, and all of you that watch and listen to all those shows, you need to watch and listen to these shows and then share those shows, subscribe to those shows. And then when you're talking to people in real life, IRL, you're getting the information out there. Because not everyone watches YouTube. Not everyone watches Instagram or X or wherever it's at. Not everyone does that. It seems like it because we're in here and we see everybody in here. But we need to disseminate this information. We need to break through the masses so they're not 15 and 20 years behind the times. Because I hear a lot of them still talking about talking points about global warming and all that shit from that were going around 10, 15, 20 years ago. You need to step up with the times, people. This is the year 2025. This isn't year 2000 anymore. This isn't 2005 anymore. This isn't 2010 anymore. We're in 2025. Come on, masses. Stop being asses. Damon Dog, the big dog, says, my dad was a union shop steward, AFL-CWA. My dad was a union officer at the local. He was the recording secretary, I believe, for many years. For the It was affiliated with AFL-CIO, their union, but they were, I think it was Cement Workers of America. Was it CWA? It was Cement Workers. They were cement workers. I forget their exact union name. 77. Richard says I'm now 77 and can relate to TV shows 77 Sunset Strip. Okay, here's Pam J. I hope I didn't piss you off, Pam. Pam J says, the last time my dad voted, it was for Reagan, and before a lot of questions had been asked. Why do I think he was a true Republican? Because he was fair, unprejudiced, and believed in democracy. I think that makes him a true American. I think your dad was a true American that had American values. I just think he was in the wrong party. Because even going back before Reagan, Nixon was an asshole. Anyhow, I think your dad was a true American who had true American values and beliefs. In fairness and inequality, believing in equality and believing in democracy. Your dad sounds like a true American. And I'm just sad that he chose the wrong party. And I hope I don't piss you off, Pam. My dad was a union member, and he was the guy who told me that we are a big enough and rich enough country to have both a social safety net like Social Security and Medicare and to be capitalists. That's what my dad told me when I was 12 or 13 years old. And yet this is the same guy who voted for Nixon, I'm pretty sure. Because he came home in 1972 from voting, and he goes, and he knew, and here I was, I'm like 12 years old. I was talking shit about Nixon. I was watching Watergate hearings, or I was watching stuff on the news. I knew that Nixon was a piece of shit. I hated Nixon at 12 years old. My dad knew that I hated Nixon. He comes home from voting. He goes, "Here, I got you something," and he gave me those little metal pins, like election pins, and it said "Nixon now." And I got so fucking pissed off. I took that pin, I stuck it on my dartboard because I had a dartboard in my room. I grabbed a dart, went back to the other side of the room. I wound up and I threw it overhand like I was pitching a baseball. Not really how you do a dart. And I threw that as hard as I could, and I drove that dart almost top dead center into that fucking metal pin. Drove it through and stuck it in there. And I remember my dad just goes, "Son, with anger like that ain't good. To have anger like that. You're going to have anger issues." And I just said, "I hate Nixon." And I think my dad just laughed, kind of like I just did, and walked away. Union guy. And I'm pretty sure he voted for Nixon, unless he was just fucking with me. And then later on, before he died in 2012, he was like all for I think Romney at the time, right, or whatever. And he'd totally been just like that book where my dad, like Fox News, brainwashed my dad. That's kind of where my dad was at. He was like Fox News, and he was Rush Limbaugh and all that shit. And this guy was a former union guy, and here he was all in with Rush Limbaugh and Fox News and Hannity and all that shit. And my dad was a great guy. Loved by everyone that he came into contact with. Great fucking guy. And he was a fucking Republican. I don't get it. To this day, I don't get it. Pam J, my dad was mind your own business, philosophy. Well, Nick Rich is happy that Tough Cookie made a cameo. Speaking of cameos, Tough Cookie and Paul, the Purple Beard guy, should probably do. Maybe I should see about those guys doing cameos because they could probably use the bucks. They should do that. You know, I think. Hey, I'm all for it. If anybody wants me to do a cameo, you know, it's that thing where I guess I can make a video and say like, wish you a happy birthday or happy anniversary or just whatever. I could do that. I'm all for it. I'll do it. So sign me up. Sign me up for cameo. I'm there. I'll do it for sure. Yeah. What is cameo? I don't even know what you're talking about. But if Paul's gonna do it, then I'll do it. Sure, I'll do one. I'll do a cameo. What do you do? Pay me a couple bucks, and I'll say like happy birthday, Nick, or something like that. I hope you have a great one. Yeah, I'll do it. Sign me up. I'm in. Wow, those guys, they're in. They're in. Um, the Soulcraft, I'm so pissed at my government and state over this banning vapes, legal and THC nicotine, even destroying countless small businesses. Where's that at? Marshall says, believe me, Trucker John, I have a lot of anxiety over Republicans ever since Reagan. Jeff Curry says, after daughter and I voted for Hillary, a Trump poll watcher heard me say, hey, you voted twice for Hillary, right? She said, yep. That guy followed us and took pictures of my car. That's kind of like the guy going into boarding an airplane and making a joke about how they didn't find the bomb, and then I don't know if this is a joke or lore or whatever, but then they grabbed him and took him off to interrogate him or something. Robert Perez says, Trucker John, will you pick up the Randy Rhoads time slot on YouTube? I think the Terras did that. Maybe. I don't know. But maybe I should, Robert. Maybe I should. Walter Bukarevich says, Trucker John, I wonder what people think about 2 Trump towers, an exclusive golf course, and an airplane, and that's all okay. Yeah, and then, we've all heard the story where Jimmy Carter had to, I guess, divest or separate himself from his peanut farm when he became president because, I don't know, he was going to show favoritism to the peanut farm community, whatever. Such a fucking disparity of and double standard, and why does he keep getting away with this shit? He makes money off of charging the government rates for like Secret Service and whatever to have to stay in his hotels when he goes on these golfing trips to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet somehow that's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. And it needs to stop and it needs to be exposed. And these fucking maggots to say, he doesn't even take a presidential salary. Well, for one thing, I think that he may have done that on the first year back in 2016. And then after that, I think he started taking it. or maybe he claims he gives it to some charity. It's probably some charity that he ends up ripping off if he does do that. And anyhow, that what is it, $400,000 salary or that the president gets? Uh, Even if he didn't take it, it's more than dwarfed by all the hundreds of millions of dollars that he puts on the taxpayers with all of this extravagance and all these golf trips that, and like I said, that then Secret Service and other staff get, they charge the government to use those hotel rooms at his hotels, and they jack the prices way up. No friends and family discount there. They just jack the price up. Pam J says, John, you didn't piss me off. We all need to understand and communicate. Go Giants. Okay, Pam. I know. I'm glad I didn't piss you off, and because I mean, talking about you know your parents or your dad, and your dad may be deceased. I don't know. My dad is deceased. It could be a touchy. It could be touchy. Touchy ground there. Touchy. So I don't want to. I don't want to besmirch the name of your father. I'm sure he was a great guy, just like my dad was a great guy. But he voted for Republicans, and he watched Fox News. My dad, and Rush Limbaugh, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck, And like I said, everyone who worked with my dad, everyone in our family, every friend, every neighbor that would only have the kindest things to say about my dad. Because they all loved him. Because my dad was a great guy. He would fucking give you the shirt off his back. He would help you. He'll whatever you need. Great fucking guy. Worked at the same place for over 50 fucking years at that cement plant. But he fucking voted for Republicans. It's just a fucking mind blower to me. Um, the Soul Craft says, "What do you do with those that do know what he is but don't care or even celebrate it?" Just stay away from him. I guess. I don't know. Damon Dog, the big dog, says truckers will soon be feeling the pain of tariffs, and then the stores start having less stuff or higher prices. Maybe that will break through. Well, it is to some already. I mean, there are, little by little, little by little, some of them are seeing it. I've seen some news stories about, some of these maggots finally waking up. Yeah, I know, Richard. I know that Fox News is owned by Rupert Murdoch and is a Trump supporter. He's always been a big Republican supporter, and that's why his news outlets are not really news. They're propaganda machines for the GOP. Nick Rich says money is all that matters to maggots. When they have none left, they might wake up. Many of the maggots are on Social Security and Medicare. It's a shame that it would take losing those programs to wake them up, because there are lots of other people who aren't maggots that will get hurt in the process. Yeah, Richard says Bone Spurs Trump referred to war veterans as suckers and losers. What a grub. I think he's lost a lot of support with military too. You know? Michael McAndrews says you could be crazy and put a Nixon tattoo on your back. A la Roger Stone, I guess, right? Soulcraft says, I think my dad only didn't vote Republican with Trump. Maybe Nixon the second term, slightly before my time. Damon Dog says, my dad told me the Republicans were for the bosses and owners, and Democrats were the party of the workers. That's a good summation, I would say. Yeah, Richard says, I remember when Nixon lost the election for governor of California and said, you won't have me to kick around anymore. God, if only that had been true. Marsha's so good to see Purple and Bird Guy. Yeah, they haven't been in here in a while. I think I'm confident enough with the stream right here in this spot to let them in. It's been a while since I could hold my head up high. It's been a while. Minus Kevin and Richard. I remember Nixon's catchphrase, I'm not a criminal. I'm not a criminal. Dave Willer Carter's peanut farm was modest. Jeff Curry, do peanuts grow on plants or trees? I believe they're a plant in the ground. I don't think it's on trees. I could be wrong, though. Dave Willer says underground. Well, as Kevin says, today on MTN, Brett Meisalis was talking about more Trump regret voters. And all I got to say, folks, 2026, we need to show up. We need to vote. Don't take anything for granted. Don't assume anything. Don't assume there's going to be a big blue wave. Don't assume shit. Vote like we're behind in the polls. Vote like we're behind. Don't even look at the fucking polls. I say fuck the polls. Fuck all that shit. Always vote like we're losing. And that your vote is important, because it is. Everyone's vote is important. And we need it. We're going to need it every single time. Every election, every time. No sitting out. Jeff Curry says today at the store at the KC strip, I always get for 10 to 20 bucks is now over 20. I mean, 10 to 12 bucks. I don't know what KC strip is. Is that some sort of a steak? Mike H. TJ, please don't sing. Okay. Sonny Foles says, I'm making fried chicken, corn on the cob, and mashed potatoes. That sounds yummy. Robert Press says, what? And all this time, I thought peanuts came from a can. Right? Right? Well, I'm about ready to probably shut the show down, get ready for work. I'm going to go driving today. Maybe I'll get some EDC rides. Here's Butterflies Are Free. Says Butterflies Free says, hey there, Trucker John and chat. When did you become interested in politics? When I was 12 years old, and I told my dad that I hate Nixon. Probably. Big Hook. If America had held If America had held to values of decency and law and order, then Nixon would have gone to jail, and all his lies and motivations of racism and against civil rights would have been part of civics taught. Hey, Big Hook. By the way, thanks for being here, Big Hook. Guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the show. I try to come on every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. There is talk and rumors of me maybe going every day. Maybe even taking the 12 o'clock Pacific time zone slot that used to be held by this person. By the way, I am wearing this vaccinated, but this is Randy Rhodes. This is a Randy Rhodes t-shirt, by the way. Maybe I will come on around 12 or so, or 11, 12 o'clock on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I don't know. We'll see. Minus Kevin says, Robert Perez, open up your next can. You'll find Trump in there. Butterflies are free. Sorry, Mike H. Donald Leary says that MF changed the whole landscape of that neighborhood. Okay, some shit, okay, all right, not like that. Marsha says, TJ, I hope you have a very financially successful evening. Me too. Thank you, Marsha. Remember, tip your waiters and servers and your cab drivers, because we basically live off those tips. Cash is king. Always remember that. Cash is king. Cash is better. That way, you know what I mean. I'm not going to say why. You guys know what I mean. David Dog says, have a great night, Trucker John, heading to the kitchen to find something to gnaw on. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks for hanging out with me for these couple hours here. And remember to vote. Make sure you don't wait till the last second. Make sure you're eligible. Depending on where you live, there could be some voter suppression going on. I'm just saying. So make sure you're able to vote. You have whatever it is you need to do, whatever hoops they want you to jump through. Just at this point, just jump through them. Just do it. And let's take back the House in 2026. Let's get the fucking Senate. Why not? Why the fuck not? Let's do it. Let's get the Senate. Let's get the House. And let's take back our country, as they like to say. As people are wont to say. Let's take back our goddamn country. Let's get some things done. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. You guys are awesome for hanging out. Let's get that like, subscribe, and share button. Let's grow the show. Let's get us to 4,000 subscribers. Let's make up for the 3 I lost, at least. And I might be popping in. Who knows? I might come in tomorrow. I might go up against Boston Brian and Texas Paul. I don't know. Maybe not. I'll probably just lounge. I'll probably lounge tomorrow. I don't know. But I might be popping in various times during the week. So make sure you hit that notification bell. Be on the lookout for good old Trucker John. And in the meantime, let me leave you with some words of wisdom from a guy who has really probably no business giving out words of wisdom. But I'm going to do it anyhow. Get your pencil or pen and a pad of paper to write this down. That's how great these words of wisdom are. All right, here you go. You guys ready? Okay, so just remember to go ahead
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes, but if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hasta la vista, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid. But doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again.
Trucker John, on the road he rides, live streaming all through the nights. From politics to pop culture he speaks. No topic is off limits, nothing is weak. From Vegas to the highways, he'll never tire, shouting about food, talking about desire. He's the rebel of the asphalt, the king of the night. With a microphone in his hand, he's ready to ignite. Freedom is his fuel, passion in his soul. Gotta express himself, gotta take control. Moving through the country, keeping it real, no filter, no holding back, nothing to conceal.